What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Blitz Angle. My name is Blitz Link. I'm here with Dan Loya. Dan, happy Thanksgiving to those of you guys watching that. We got a loaded slate with some really important games in the playoff race, and we're going to start with the early game. The first game, the Green Bay Packers are heading to Detroit to face off against the Detroit Lions. Now, Dan, last time these two teams faced, the Lions were beat up by the Packers in Green Bay. This game feels like it could be the winner will win the NFC North. What are your thoughts on this game entering it?
Yeah, I think first off, all these games on Thanksgiving and Black Friday are just I think awesome games for fans. All these games are going to be real close. This one in particular, Packers Lions. This is a coin flip game. This game could go either way. I had trouble picking this game. I'm about to give my pick, and I still don't know who's going to win. But I just think there's an old adage, and I don't know if you watch MMA, Ryan, or anybody else watches, UFC, but there's an old saying that like styles make fights. Okay. And I think this is a perfect saying for this matchup. Everything that the Lions want to do, the Packers are good at. The Lions want to blitz on defense. They're one of the highest ranked blitz teams in the league. The Packers and Jordan Love, he's one of the best quarterbacks against the blitz. The Lions play a lot of man coverage. Jordan Love's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL against man coverage. It's just total bad matchup on that side of the ball. On the flip side, Detroit, they like to throw underneath passes, all that good stuff. Jared Goff has trouble when the defense Halfley here, defensive coordinator for the Packers, he really disguises his coverage. He'll show like a single high safety, and at the snap, he'll flip to like an invert cover two. Jared Goff always has trouble dealing with that. Just look at the game with Philadelphia. That's exactly what the Eagles did to him. And look how many points they scored. They scored 9 points. So I just think this is just a terrible matchup for the Lions. For the Lions to win this game, they have to run the ball. They have to get both running backs going. That's their key to the game. If they get those guys going, the Lions really have a chance here. But I just think the Packers, man, that pass rush is humming right now. They looked really good last week. I like their defense. They play really good zone coverage. So I'm going with the Packers here, man. Uh, I trust the Packers more in this matchup.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like this one's one of the tougher games to pick out of the slate right now. But I mean, the Lions, they were beat up by the Packers last time. And the biggest thing I
Yeah.
noticed in that matchup was they negated the Lions' run game. And we've seen
Yeah.
teams negate the run game and make it harder for them and make Jared Goff beat them. And a lot of teams have had success with that this year. Even last week, right? The Giants were able to cause some, pass rush. And, Frank Ragnow is coming out of retirement. So that's a big get for them
Yeah.
at center long
Yeah.
term, but he's not going to be active this week. But I think with this matchup in Green Bay, I take a look at something, and it's just the fact that Detroit's at home in this one. Their offense significantly takes a bump at home versus on the road, which is a big time boost. I feel like in their favor. And this Packers defense, I have a hard time figuring them out, Dan. It seems like one week their pass rush is great, the next week it disappears. It feels like their run defense sometimes is great, disappears the next week. It feels like the secondary holds up one week,
Agreeing.
not so great the second. I don't know what I'm getting from the Packers on defensively, even though I think they're a good defense. And then offensively, I'm not sure this is a good offense. I know when they get Josh Jacobs back, that's a boost to the running back room, and he's going to get 20 touches, and that's their anchor. But Jordan Love has been so hit or miss. These receivers are not consistent at all. And this Detroit Lions defense is no joke. They're getting healthier for the first time all season on that side of the ball. And I know Jameis had a monster game against them last week, but
Yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson should be in for a nice one uh, against them. And I think like the biggest thing with me going into this is the Packers like have beat up on some bad teams and played some bad teams over the last 4 weeks. They haven't seen a team of Detroit's caliber. It feels like a month now. And I think that while the Packers came out and played a great game against them the first time, Detroit is going to make those adjustments the second time around at home and be able to win this game. The X factor for me is Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs is the best player in this matchup. They need to get him the ball 25 times, whether that is through the ground or through the air, and they'll find success. Any props I like Christian Watson to have a really nice day. I think he has 4 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown potentially. On the Lions side of things, David Montgomery, I like his unders. Jahmyr Gibbs played a season high snap percentage last week. And my prediction, I'm going the Detroit Lions 27, Dan, to 23 in this matchup. I do think they cover the
Oh,
spread
yeah.
at home, and it might be a little bit higher scoring than people expect. Next game, we had
Exactly.
the Kansas City the Chiefs. I can't even say my own team's favorite name. They're traveling to Dallas to face the Cowboys, who all these defensive additions, they metrics wise, they looked really good. The last 2 weeks against the Eagles and Raiders. Will that hold up this week against Kansas City, Dan? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is another man. I think this is gonna be a fun game. Both teams are pretty good on the offensive side of the ball. Man, just overall, historically, here's a cool stat. Kansas City hasn't won against the Dallas Cowboys on the road since 1975. So it's 50 years that they haven't beat Dallas in Dallas. I thought that was pretty interesting. Dallas Cowboys have won 3 straight games on Thanksgiving too, so they got a little win streak going. But this is a
Mm,
tough matchup. They gotta rely on their offense, and I think they could do it. I'm just a little nervous. Uh, you know, that offense is gonna score some points. I'm not worried about the Cowboys offense. It's the flip side. It's Patrick Mahomes and that offense versus the Cowboys defense that, they're improved, but they were one of the worst teams in the league before the trade, so they better be improved after trading a first round pick for Quinn Williams and adding Logan Wilson.
yeah,
So they are much better overall. Historically, Patrick Mahomes versus Eberflus. I did some digging here. He's played 3 games against them. He's completed 64% of his passes. He's thrown for about 290 yards a game, and in total, in all 3 games, he's thrown 4 touchdowns. So it's just an okay stat line. So I think he's going to throw, I think, at least 2 touchdowns and about 290. I could kind of predict that. But man, dude, I'm just nervous that he can like dink and dunk because Eberflus plays a lot of zone, and the way before this losing streak for the Chiefs is that they're like death by a thousand cuts. They're starting to get that going, and they kind of got away with it playing the Bills and the Broncos, and the Broncos have one of the best defenses in the league. I don't think the Cowboys do. Cowboys are improved, but overall, I think KC is going to pull this out. It's going to be a close game. I
yeah.
think this is gonna be a lot of fun to watch, but, the Chiefs will somehow, some way pull this game out.
Yeah, it feels like, you talk about Eberflus and you mentioned the heavy zone coverage. That's what I look at in matchup and I see favorable.
Yeah.
Mahomes hasn't faced Eberflus enough over the last 5 years to where, those
Yeah,
numbers I
it's
think
different.
play into effect. I think when Eberflus was in Indianapolis, different type of personnel they had over there, and they were matching up in bigger games. Where Eberflus is with this
Yeah,
Cowboys defense now, they're a heavy zone defense. They don't rush the passer overly well. That's a bad combination when facing the current version of the Chiefs. They have a ton of receivers that are really good against zone coverage, struggle more against man coverage. And I'm interested to see if Dallas decides to, go against the grain and Eberflus says, hey, maybe we man up more and try to make these guys beat us 1-on-1 because it seems like the
yeah,
Bills and the Broncos did that and had a lot of success. And the Colts did it last week in the red zone and had a lot of success as well. It's just one of the ways that, like you mentioned, this Chiefs team gets the most yards per drive that they've had in the Patrick Mahomes era. But in the red zone, they falter, and it's because they have to sustain these long drives and they don't have elite separators in man coverage. And Mahomes just hasn't been as consistent. So on that side of it, I like the matchup if Eberflus sticks with his grain and that zone coverage. I think the Cowboys' run defense is really good and they'll give them problems. And I want to see Andy Reid still commit to it with Trey Smith out. And then on the flip side of things, man, this Dallas offense has so many weapons. The Chiefs defense dealt with an Indianapolis offense that, came in as the number one EPA offense, had all these gaudy numbers, all this and that. They're going to have to blitz Dak Prescott and they're going to have to make him feel uncomfortable. We've seen Dak in games this year where he struggled. He was under duress. He was getting blitz. He couldn't get down the field and, get 10 plus air yard throws to George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. That's where you kind of attack Dallas. I think that Javonte Williams might be in for a bigger game. And just because I think the Chiefs
mhm,
focus more on how do we slow down the pass versus the run in this one. And this might be the first time this year where we see a Chiefs game to where it doesn't feel like each team is going down the field 7 minutes a drive on both sides of the ball. So I think with it, the biggest X factor for me is the Chiefs have seen the Colts, the Broncos, and the Bills the last 3 weeks. The Cowboys defense aren't really on that level just yet for them. And the Cowboys defense the last 2 weeks seen two struggling offenses. I think the Chiefs offense, they capitalized in the red zone this week and their 23-point performance against Indianapolis turns into a 30-point performance with one more or two more touchdowns in the red zone. I like the Chiefs. Highest scoring game of the week, in my opinion, on Thanksgiving, 30 to
Yeah, me too.
27. I think there's going to be points scored, and I think the Chiefs' defense lack of front four pass rush could come into play if they don't blitz well against Dak. All right, final game of the Thanksgiving slate. The Bengals are taking on the Ravens. Dan, guess who's back? Joe Burrow,
Mhm.
and he has no chance to make the playoffs, but he's gonna make the Bengals frisky. What are your thoughts heading into this matchup? And by the way, the Ravens are still a touchdown favorite, even with a healthy Burrow.
Yeah, they should be. I'm not going to overthink this one. Baltimore's won 5 straight in this stretch. The defense is only allowing about 13 points per game. So the Ravens offense hasn't been clicking since Lamar Jackson returned. He's kind of I don't know, something's up with him. He's probably just
You know what?
got to get
It's,
his
I don't know if it's
healthy.
the injuries. He's not. It's the
He's not
effectiveness of
rhythm.
his rushing ability feels like it's gone right now.
Yeah, and I think he's a little worried about his injury still. But what perfect defense to play than Cincinnati without Trey Henderson, and they're one of the worst in the league. So this is a perfect game to get that offense going. Cincinnati losers of 8 of their last 9 games. Just like I said, no Trey Henderson, no T Higgins, and also head-to-head matchup Cincinnati and Baltimore. The Bengals have lost 4 in a row against them. So they haven't beaten Baltimore in Baltimore since 2021.
Hmm.
So I'm not going to overthink this. It's you got to go Ravens here. Harbaugh is actually 2-0 on Thanksgiving. He's 12-3 on Thursday night Thanksgiving game. So yeah, I'm going Baltimore, man.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the word of this matchup is don't overthink it. I think Joe
Yeah,
Burrow and Jamar Chase, they're going to get theirs, right? They always have big games. It feels like against the Ravens, right?
yeah,
But he's also missing T. Higgins in this one, right? I think Chase Brown, has a nice game, but that Ravens defense, they haven't gotten
that's
enough
good.
credit for the turnaround they've made over the last month, and starting to be that consistent unit. It feels like this Zach Orr led defense, the first month they're one of the worst in the NFL.
Yeah, it's 2 years in a
After
row,
that, they
right? Yeah,
figure it out. They get people healthy, and the Ravens are playing at a much higher level. I think you're right though. Like this is the get back game for Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and this offense to score 35 points. I mean, they haven't done it, it feels like, in such a long time. And we're so used to this Ravens offense scoring touchdowns at a high rate, beating up on really bad teams and making it an ugly game. I mean, why can't this Ravens offense score 35 points? And, even if it's not Lamar Jackson scrambling around and doing what he normally does, and the defense doesn't have to respect it just as much, why can't Derrick Henry go for 150? Why can't Mark Andrews have 2 touchdowns and 80 yards receiving against the worst defense against tight ends?
yeah. I was
So
gonna
I
say,
think
yeah,
that, heading into this matchup, I just think Baltimore they're going to get on the right track, and it just feels like Pittsburgh's left in the rearview mirror right now with where they are in the division standing. So Baltimore is going to take care of business. I like them 35-27 in this one. I think Joe Burrow is going to get his. I think he will. He'll make it close. He might get a garbage time touchdown and cut it to a one-score game. But I like the Ravens. Mark Andrews, bet on him because the
yeah.
Cincinnati Bengals allow so many yards to tight ends, touchdowns, whatever it is. I also do think a sneaky bet as
Oh,
well is Chase Brown, total yards. Joe Burrow targets running backs at a higher rate than Flacco did. So I like that one as well. Are you going to say something about it?
yeah. No, the Bengals have allowed a league worst 962 yards to tight ends and a league worst 13 touchdowns. So yeah, Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews should both get theirs.
Yeah, it'll be a sneaky one for sure. And then the final one of the week, maybe the one that might have the biggest implications on the NFC side of things, the Bears and the Eagles. Well, the Eagles, it feels like, are locked up in the division. The Bears have been beating up on some mediocre to bad teams. They're sitting at 8-3, beating the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly. That's a statement, Dan. Can they do it?
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it would be a statement, but I think this is it's a perfect like another saying for you. It's like the Jimmies and the Joes will beat the X's and the O's. Okay, the Eagles are just a super team, and I think this is going to be too much for the Bears right now. Philly has won 6 straight games against Chicago. Historically, the Bears haven't won in Philly since 2011. Just first off, Chicago, you gotta give them credit. A year ago, like around this time, they were 4-8, and they just fired their coach for the first time ever in franchise history. A year later, they have the same record as the Super Bowl champs. They're both 8-3, and we're talking on a show saying the Bears could possibly win this game. So it's crazy how the NFL is. Like a year later, you can make such a difference with coaching, and you got to give the Bears credit here. But this is a tough matchup. The Bears, they're number one in takeaways, 24 takeaways on the year. They lead the league in 16 interceptions. The only problem is Philly's offense has only turned the ball over 6 times this season. That's the fewest in the NFL. So that's a bad matchup for the Bears. Just I think Philly's offense should be okay. They're kind of in a slump, under 21 points, 3 straight games, but they got another Bears team that just isn't really good on defense. They make plays when they need to, but their run game stinks. So this is a game to get Saquon Barkley going, especially at home. They're 28th against the run. They're giving up 5.2 yards per rush. Get that run game going. Let it open everything up. Also, that Philly defense I think, is going to handle the Bears offense. They might have trouble with Caleb Williams scrambling, but eventually they're going to catch him. And since that trade for Jalen Phillips, they're only allowing 13 points per game. So he's definitely made a difference. They gotten 6 sacks over that span and 5 takeaways. So I just think Philadelphia's the better team right now. The Bears might make it a little interesting, but overall, the Eagles in one-score games are it's another week for them, and I think they're gonna show their championship DNA against them and pull out a victory.
Yeah, the biggest thing I look at in this one is the Bears' injuries at the linebacker position are significant heading into this matchup. And
Yeah,
while their run defense showed some signs of life in the middle of the year, last week it regressed against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh had their way against them, and this
yeah,
you're right. This is a perfect game for Saquon Barkley to get going, have an efficient day on the ground. This Eagles offense play with a positive game script and not have to rely on Jalen Hurts and Kevin Patullo to make plays or scheme up plays, right? This is the matchup. And while I do like the outside matchups of AJ Brown and Devonta Smith at receiver, right? There are so many ways this Philadelphia Eagles offense can go in this one. I want to see them run the rock. Can we get Saquon going like we did last year, where his efficiency metrics are unbelievable? Right? Dallas Goddard has a good matchup too. Like there are so many good matchups right now with this injured Bears defense. And you look at the other side of the ball, it's not great for the Bears either. I mean, Philadelphia
yeah,
has there's levels to it, right? Philadelphia has edge rushers. They have interior defensive linemen.
yeah.
They
That's
have the
what I'm saying.
best linebacker duo in football. They have elite cornerbacks, right? They have a solid safety. Like Philadelphia's defense is legit, and they have Vic Fangio calling their plays. So this defense is hard, and Ben Johnson's a great coordinator, right? But Caleb Williams' inconsistencies this year on a per play basis are among the highest and lowest we've seen at the quarterback position at times this year.
Yeah,
And this ground game, it feels like if they don't get going with Kyle Monungai and DeAndre Swift, it's going to solely be on Caleb Williams against a very tough Eagles defense who has shut down like Patrick Mahomes this year. They have shut down good quarterbacks. Like this is a tough matchup for
I,
Caleb. And while I think that he's shown signs of improvement this year, you still, if you watch Bears games, there's still plays where he holds onto the ball too long. He doesn't throw the ball away. He's looking down at the pass rush. He misses a guy wide open. Like there are those plays still in Caleb's game. And against a really tough defense, it's very tough. I don't see uh a world where Caleb Williams is able to ball out on a per play basis to beat the Eagles, especially since the Eagles have a great matchup defensively. So I'm rocking with the Eagles in this one.
yeah,
I'm going to go 27-17. Um, I think the Eagles have a nice day offensively for the first time in a while. As far as prop bets I go, I'm on Saquon. Saquon's going to get that rushing total this week. I think he has a nice game. Chicago's side of things,
yeah.
I do love DJ Moore unders. I also do love Colston Loveland unders as well. So all in on those. Dan, should be a great Thanksgiving slate of
Yeah,
games.
it's
We'll
gonna
be
be
eating a
awesome.
lot of food, watching a lot of football, dropping our takes on Twitter. So make sure you guys go follow us there as well. Drop your takes though in this video for all these Thursday and Friday games in the NFL because they have a ton of implications. Hit that subscribe button for more Blitz Sports Media content, and me and Dan will catch you guys next time.
Happy Thanksgiving.